Since the dawn of humanity, we have gazed upward with the same burning question: does God exist beyond our thoughts? In every culture, under every sky, our ancestors sought meaning in the stars, in sacred mountains, in whispered prayers. Sometimes faith arrived first, an instinctive reach for the transcendent. Other times, doubt prowled the edges of reason, demanding proof. Tonight, we stand between those two ancient currents, ready to explore whether God is a concept of the mind, the first cause of all that is, or the heartbeat we feel in our own existence. Every evening, in homes and cathedrals, minds wrestle with a paradox. We yearn for certainty, yet God eludes proof. Some find comfort in miraculous Thales' healing waters, answered prayers, while others demand logic, evidence, reasoned syllogisms. That tension between heart and mind shapes our search. Will we leap on blind faith, or step forward only on the firm ground of argument? Tonight's journey follows three avenues. First, we'll examine God as a concept, the idea of that than which nothing greater can be conceived. Next, we'll trace God as the unmoved mover, the first cause behind every beginning. Finally, we'll explore God as existential presence, can encounter deeper than logic, felt in the soul's silence. Each path offers a distinct way to meet the divine. Saint Anselm invited us to consider the greatest conceivable being one, in which none greater can be thought. If that being exists in the mind, it must also exist in reality. Otherwise, a greater being could be imagined. Therefore, God exists. It's a daring move. God's existence follows simply from the concept itself, like discovering an internal proof written into the very idea of perfection. But wisdom must face critique. A monk named Gonle responded, "Imagine the greatest conceivable island, rich, fertile, perfect. By Anselm's logic, it must exist. Absurd, right? This perfect island shows that conceptual existence doesn't guarantee reality. Ontology's bold stroke may gild a logical floor, reminding us that ideas need grounding beyond mere thought." Contemporary philosophers like Alvin Plantinga defend a refined version: if it's possible that a maximally great being exists in some possible world, one with maximal excellence and necessary existence, and it exists in all possible worlds, including ours. By framing existence as a necessary property, they aim to shore up Anselm's argument. Yet questions linger. Can existence truly be treated like a property at all? Philosopher Immanuel Kant objected. Existence isn't a property you can tack onto a concept. 100 real dollars hold more value than 100 imagined ones. But real isn't another dollar. If we treat existence as a trait, we conflate thought with reality. Ontology's brilliance dims when it mistakes our mental map for the territory itself. Even if we grant the concept of a perfect being, we still face the leap from intellect to existence. Thinkers like Hume argued that reason alone cannot bridge the chasm between is and ought, or between can conceive and does exist. Perhaps existence demands experience, something more than pure logic can supply. The ontological argument stands as a testament to reason's daring, but it also humbles us before the mystery of existence. Concepts illuminate possibility, but reality ultimately answers to its own rules. Perhaps God's greatest concealment is here, in the spaces where logic yields to wonder. If thought alone cannot conjure existence, perhaps we must look elsewhere, back to the beginning itself. Every effect demands a cause. If the universe began, what caused it? Some insist on an uncaused cause, an engine that needs no ignition. That, many say, is God, the first spark that sets everything else in motion. Medieval scholars formalized it as the Kalam argument. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist. Therefore, the universe has a cause. Modern cosmology echoes this Big Bang, cosmic inflation. Yet some propose eternal multiverses or quantum fluctuations. Does the first spark need a hand divine? or random. St. Thomas Aquinas refined the first cause idea. There must be an unmoved mover, something that moves without itself being moved, the source of all change. Like a grand clockmaker who winds the cosmos and steps aside. This mover is pure actuality, infinite in power and perfection. Yet, once set in motion, why would it remain silent? Critics ask, if every cause needs a prior cause, what about the divine cause? Must it be exempt? And what if time is cyclical, no true beginning? Some invoke multiverse theories. Our universe one bubble among countless others. If beginnings multiply, does the need for a first cause dissolve or grow more urgent? Quantum physics reveals a world of chance. Particles spring into existence without clear cause. Could the universe's birth be a quantum event, spontaneous and unguided? Or might God operate through quantum indeterminacy, guiding the random spark without violating natural laws? Science blurs the line between chance and choice. If reason can't fully reveal the divine spark, perhaps existence itself speaks. The very fact that anything is stars, stones, souls poses a mystery that logic alone cannot solve. To face this mystery, some philosophers urge an existential leap, to embrace God not as a hypothesis, but as the ground of being beneath our feet. Danish thinker Søren Kierkegaard called it the leap of faith, not blind, but inward, personal. It's less about convincing arguments and more about the inner stirrings that awaken when you stand face to face with the void and feel a presence beyond yourself. The journey now turns from proofs to personal encounter. In solitude, the question arises, who am I without answers? Kierkegaard described the moment when reason reaches its limit and the soul trembles before possibility. In that trembling, you don't find proof, you feel a presence. It may be faint, like a whisper in the wind, but it calls you beyond yourself. Mystics across traditions describe ineffable moments, visions of unity, sudden awareness of divine love, the collapse of self in the face of the infinite. These aren't arguments, but experiences that transform the heart. Whether fleeting or enduring, they become living proof for those who undergo them. Existential faith isn't surrender to dogma. It's freedom from the need to control every question. It's the courage to embrace mystery, to say, I don't know, and yet choose trust. In that paradox lies liberation, the divine invitation to live with open hands and open heart. Consider the countless lives transformed by encounters, beyond explanation, stories of inexplicable peace and suffering, of guidance in crisis. These testimonies don't resolve debates, but they populate the human landscape with landmarks of meaning. Their power lies not in logic, but in lived reality. We've walked through the halls of reason and the chambers of experience. Now the path forks in two. Continue debating on the level of ideas, or set out on the personal pilgrimage of faith. Both paths matter. Both shape who you become. The question remains, which will you choose? Pause now and ask yourself, have you ever felt a presence beyond explanation? A moan of peace and chaos? A whisper in the silence? Does that memory point to a reality deeper than atoms? Reflection isn't denial of reason. It's the opening of the heart to questions that logic alone cannot tame. Now take each argument to your mind's workshop. Can you conceive of perfection without it existing? Do you see a necessary spark beyond the Big Bang? Have you sensed a presence that transcends thought? Test each path honestly. See which resonates, which falters, and where mystery still beckons you forward. Metaphysics teaches humility. We stand on the edge of the abyss, peering into questions as vast as the cosmos. Acknowledge the limits of your knowledge and the breadth of your wonder. Let humility guide you, not to surrender belief, but to hold it gently, open to revision as your journey unfolds. Share your discoveries with others, believers, skeptics, seekers. Listen with curiosity more than conviction. In the interplay of perspectives, Truth often glimmers in unexpected angles. Dialogue is the forge where faith and reason meet, shaping a richer understanding than either could alone. A quest doesn't end here. Whether you embrace God as concept, cause, or presence, or remain in joyful questioning, the journey continues. Let each sunrise renew your wonder. Let each conversation deepen your insight. And when doubt visits, welcome it as a companion on the path toward meaning. Where is God when suffering erupts? In hospital rooms, battlefields, and broken homes, the silence can be deafening. And yet, some still feel presence in the pain. Could it be that the divine does not prevent the fire, but sits with us in its midst? Perhaps the mystery of God is not to escape pain, but to transform it. To ignore these questions is not neutral. It is costly. A life unexamined becomes shallow. A mind closed to transcendence grows brittle. In the rush for certainty, we often miss the deeper beauty of not knowing. The danger is not in doubt, but in distraction. You may not be ready to say, "Yes, I believe." That's okay. You don't need to arrive at an answer today, but be willing to walk the question. Stay curious, stay open. Let the weight of wonder press gently, not with force, but with invitation. Truth doesn't demand a sprint, just a step. You may not be ready to say, "Yes, I believe." That's okay. You don't need to arrive at an answer today, but be willing to walk the question. Stay curious, stay open. Let the weight of wonder press gently, not with force, but with invitation. Truth doesn't demand a sprint, just a step. Whether or not you ever find an ultimate answer, know this: the search itself is sacred. To ask is to be alive. To wonder is to be human. And to walk this path, uncertain but sincere, it is already to brush against the divine. Keep walking. Keep asking. The mystery walks with you. You may feel unworthy to even approach the question of God. Too skeptical, too broken, too unsure. But doubt is not disobedience. It's part of the path. Every seeker, even the saints, walked through doubt. Don't silence your uncertainty. Bring it to the mystery. That's where transformation begins. Not every question needs to be answered. Some are meant to be lived. The divine isn't always found in conclusions, but in the sacred tension between knowing and unknowing. In that space, something holy unfolds, not in clarity, but in presence. If this story moves something inside you, share it. Not to preach, but to invite. There are others wandering the same silent spaces of thought, unsure if they're alone. Share not to answer, but to remind them. Someone else is listening too. That's how philosophy becomes communion. Leave a comment, not with an answer, but a question that haunts you. One you can't shake. One you don't dare speak aloud. This space is for seekers, not knowers. Let's build a cathedral of questions. Your voice adds a stone. Look around. Across the world, others sit at 2 a.m. with the same ache, the same questions. You are not strange for wondering, you are awake. In the silence between stars, your whisper joins a choir of seekers. And that sound, perhaps, is the echo of God listening back. What if God isn't far, watching from behind galaxies, but closer than your breath, woven into every neuron, every heartbeat, every moment you pause to wonder? What if the divine was never missing, only missed? Look again. Not outward, inward. You don't need all the answers to belong to the mystery. Faith isn't a conclusion, it's an orientation, a direction you choose even in the fog. Let yourself walk with questions, not as burdens, but as companions. The road is made sacred by the walking. Philosophers speak of the first cause, the uncaused cause of everything. But maybe that cause never stopped. Maybe it still whispers into time, calling you home. Not through thunder, but through wonder. Through that still small voice within. Can you hear it? You are not an outsider peering into the mystery. You are made of it. Your bones hum with stardust, your thoughts echo eternity. To ask, does God exist, is to ask about your own origin. You are always inside the question. Maybe you are part of the answer too. If you've come this far, don't stop now. Keep seeking, even when it hurts. Keep asking, even when the silence answers. Because that ache for something more, that's holy ground. You're standing on it. You've always been. They told you to be strong, to have it all figured out. But strength isn't clenching tighter, it's letting go. Real surrender is trust. Not because you've seen the whole plan, but because you sense there is one. And maybe, just maybe, it includes even your doubts. No scripture or science can chart every mystery, but the heart knows. It aches toward something, someone it cannot name. This ache is not weakness. It is divine memory, calling you back. Not to answers, but to presence. You are not invisible to the infinite. Before the first star ignited, you are known. Every flaw, every fear, every faltering breath held in something larger than the cosmos. You are not too broken. You are already seeing, already loved. You're still searching, still questioning. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you're alive. And in that very tension, between knowing and not knowing, is where the sacred lives. You don't have to escape the mystery. You are walking on holy ground. You've searched the stars, the scriptures, the silence. But perhaps it was never about finding God. Perhaps it was about noticing the one who never stopped whispering your name, through thunder and thought, through doubt and desire. You are not an accident of atoms. You are a verse in a poem older than time. You matter not because you can prove it, but because your being sings something only you can echo. That melody is not random. It is sacred. You don't need to solve God. You're invited to walk with God, to hold hands with mystery, and still step forward in trust, to ask questions and still rest in love. Faith is not the absence of doubt. It is the courage to stay anyway. If you've come this far, thank you. Your curiosity, your wonder, your hunger for truth, it all matters. This journey isn't about arriving, it's about becoming. And I hope you feel a little more whole than when we began. This isn't the end, just a doorway. There are more questions, more beauty, more wonder ahead. So come back, sit with the unknown, and together, let's keep searching. Not for all the answers, but for a deeper way of seeing.